Okay, so it's been a while since I made a video. I just want to make a little quick one right now as both a sequel to my first ever video about FNAF logos and also just as a little update so you know that I'm not abandoning the channel. I do want to make more videos, but my current one I got on the back burner, I had to divide it up into two and the scripts are getting really long, so that's going to be his whole ordeal. Point being, here are two new logos for FNAF games. Alright, so the first new logo for this video is the one for, Ruin. Now, if you've kept up with my community tab posts, which is really the only form of content I've been producing for a while, if you kept up with them, I had a whole rant about, Ruin when it came out, and I was really disappointed with specifically the ending. Like, at first, it was like an objective improvement to Security Breach. The linearity made it a lot more like cohesive, blah, blah, blah. There's a posture video on that. Point being, I think the ending completely ruined the fucking game. The Mimic is just not a good villain. This is a terrible idea. Okay, listen. From a Doyleist perspective, I understand why the Mimic was the villain. The people who work at Steelwool, they're creative types, and their biggest fear right now is like ChatGPT and AI art. And the Mimic is clearly a manifestation of that, because he's a synthetic being that's, you know, being able to recreate a human. And I'm in total agreement with them on that. I hate AI art, but at the same time, Five Nights at Freddy's was not the franchise to convey this message in, because you've added shapeshifters to a franchise that, like, was pretty down to earth and only had, like, ghosts as its only high concept thing. But the lore implications are, like, really fucking crazy, because, like, yeah, obviously Springtrap at the end of Security Breach wasn't William Afton, but with the Mimic software as a concept, do ghosts even exist? Like, was William Afton ever Springtrap? Was Elizabeth ever Circus Baby? How much of the franchise's lore has been fucked up just from this one aspect being added? And obviously I don't think Steelwool's gonna do a plot twist that's stupid, but for fuck's sake, you know, this is the kind of implications you hire a writer to fix. And I didn't even see a writer in the credits for Security Breach Ruin, so that might explain a lot. But my personal bitching aside, you're here for the logo, so let's just get right to that. So here's the logo for Ruin. As you can see, it's just a modified version of the old Security Breach logo I did, but I think for a DLC pack, that makes the most amount of sense. Now, a lot of the ideas for the logo, like the graffiti-ish font, which is just my handwriting, and the purple and the smudginess, that was actually helped collaborated with someone in my Discord server named U2Cool, who's always been a friendly face, and he came up with a lot of the ideas and helped me like tweak certain things, like getting the shade of purple correct. And I overall love this logo. Everything from the chromatic aberration on the lettering to the shade of purple and the splotchiness and the textures, it just feels so, like, correct. It feels like more nostalgic FNAF, like what I'm used to from, you know, back in my day. Like if Security Breach Ruin was made in Click Team, I feel like this would be what the logo for it would look like. Alright, so FNAF VR 2 is going to be a thing. It got showed off at PAX, and, I mean, from an artistic perspective, it seems a little, like, unnecessary. The first VR game was a pretty decent showcase of the entire franchise, but it makes a lot more sense when you consider from a marketing perspective, because whilst it's on all VR platforms, the Quest and the Index, FNAF VR Help Wanted 1 was specifically paired very heavily in marketing with the PlayStation VR headset. And as a new PlayStation VR headset, only makes sense for a new FNAF game to come out with it. I know that's not the only reason, and Steelwool's not like a Sony-operated company, but feels like a little bit too much of a coincidence for it to not have any correlation. But yeah, I really don't have any opinion on this game. However, I still want it to have a good logo because, you know, I always try to put effort in everything, and the logo it does have is just kind of like... It's really just the first game's logo with a 2 added to it. It's literally just the Undertale 2 meme, except unironic. And I think we can do a little better than that. And here it is. Obviously, it's very similar to the last one I made for VR Help Wanted 1. Obviously, since it's a sequel. But I think there's enough like meaningful differences. First of all, the color palette. The colors are inverted, but I didn't go with the saturation that would come with the how you would invert colors naturally, just because it looked a bit like gaudy and kind of eyesore-y. And much like how the first VR game had a very subtle 8 around the lettering with that kind of like weird techno sci-fi lining with the circles in it, this has the same thing with a 10 because this is technically the 10th game in the franchise, I guess. You know, unless we start numbering these games like Mario levels, and this is 8-2 actually, in which case I'm going to eat a pant. But other than the colors being different, I decided to make the grid in the background the circular pattern, you know, going from squares to circles. And now instead of just being a paper sign attached to it, the Help Wanted text is actually part of the logo. I think that just is a better evolution of the concept. However, it is a different shade of blue, so it does stick out amongst the logo, just like, you know, the other one does.